Hi, this is Lee, and I wanted to update you with what I'm doing on the internet now. I have started a company that will be coaching people and helping people to leverage the internet. It's called Net Traffic Academy, and I'm going to teach people how to do search engine optimization. I can teach you how to do internet marketing, social media marketing, even how to build websites. Basically, I want it to be, and it will be, where you can start as a beginner or you can start as someone who's advanced and benefit greatly from elite training. I've been doing this for 20 years. I have been doing search engine optimization and internet marketing for 20 years. And you're not going to find anybody in the world who beats that I know of. Now, there may be some people out there who've been doing it as long, but the internet hasn't been around that long, and we know when it started. So we can tell pretty much how long you could possibly be doing it. And you're not going to find anybody who's been doing it as long as I have, who's coaching and doing that kind of thing. I'm a dinosaur in this industry, more like a ninja dinosaur. But Net Traffic Academy will be coaching people on how to do that. I'm also going to be helping you to leverage something else. Some people might call it leveraging life, maybe leveraging the universe, whatever you want to call it. I have always known that the mind has capabilities that we don't fully grasp, or that most people don't fully grasp. I want to tell you a story before you think I'm too far out there. In high school, I was on a trip. A friend of mine and I were in the same hotel room together. There were probably 60 kids from the school who had been traveling, so we were sharing hotel rooms and that kind of thing. No big deal. So he and I were watching basketball. He was laying in his bed, I was laying in my bed. We were just chatting. And all of a sudden, I had what a lot of people call a deja vu moment. It was as though I was remembering the future. It hadn't happened yet, but I was remembering it. And I said to him, "Oh my goodness, I'm having a deja vu." And he said, "Quick, what's going to happen next?" Just kind of joking around. And I could see it as clear as I can see my computer in front of my face right now. And I told him what was going to happen. I said, "A friend of ours," I said his name, "is going to come to the door and he's going to knock." And I literally knocked on the bed headboard behind me 3 times. And I said, he's going to say that this girl, who I knew, but I wasn't great friends with, we were acquaintances, that she wanted me to come to her room. Which at the time was kind of preposterous, because she was a grade above me, and in high school a lot of times girls just won't date younger guys because, that would just not be the cool thing to do. And I'm going to get into some of that too. There's a reason women especially can be that way. It's dealing with the laws of attraction, and we'll be dealing with that too. But I told him this was going to happen. Our buddy's coming to the door, he's going to knock and tell me she wants me to come to her room. The words barely escaped my lips when the knock came at the door. And my friend looked at me and he was like, "No way." And he went to the door and he opened it. And I stood and watched as the exact person I saw was there, and he said word for word what I said he was going to say. So my buddy picks up a piece of paper and says, "Quick, tell me the scores tonight." He wanted to bet on them, since he would know the answer now, since I could see into the future for that brief little bit of time, but I had lost it. It was there for 30 or 40 seconds, and then it was gone. But for that brief amount of time, I literally remembered the future. That's what happened. I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you the truth of what happened. It was a great thing. One of the things it did was it opened my mind to the idea that the universe and my mind had some tricks up their sleeves that I wasn't being taught in school, and that maybe the concept of the mind, how we interact with the world around us, is beyond what we're talking about or what we think or what we see as logical. I am the son of an accountant. I have been taught to be logical about everything, and I assure you, I have never thought as logically as I am now. The power of the mind is an amazing thing. And recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, I've had a bit of a life change in terms of how I see the universe around me. Some people call it manifestation. I like that word, but to a lot of people, that's a scary, odd, out there, silly kind of thing. And so we don't have to use that word. I like to just call it leveraging the universe. And you might think that's pretty out there too, but stay with me. One way I can explain this, I had a client and I had changed the way that they did business. The product they used to have was just barely a side product. And the product that I'd worked on them developing had become the pony that pulled the cart. And we were having a conversation, the owner and I, and it was a little problem they were facing, and I was going over ways, that they could change it. And he basically said, well, which one do you think? And I said, well, this is what we need to do. This is what you need to do. And he said, you do realize this is all just a figment of your imagination, don't you? And I can't tell you how true that has become. I operate with that as the assumption that this is all just a figment of my imagination. Now, he wasn't meaning it as fully at the moment. Maybe he was. I need to ask him about that. But I have come to take it now as meaning a lot more to me than just simple change in strategy. I approach the world as this is all the figment of my imagination. If you've seen The Matrix, do you remember that scene where the boy had a spoon in front of his eyes and he was bending the spoon? And Neo sees him and he says, how are you doing that? And the boy says, the first thing to realize is there is no spoon. It was all a figment of his imagination. And if you've seen The Matrix, it was a simulation. And what's interesting is that there's good science behind that. Quantum physicists who say this is all some kind of simulation. It's something to consider. For me, it's a strategy. And it's as logical and as rational as the floor you're standing on or that your chair's sitting in. Now, I'm going to teach you how to do two things. Leverage the internet for your business, to bring in piles of cash, to bring in clients, whatever you want to do with that information. But I'm going to give you more than just information. I'm going to walk you through how to do this. It's going to be elite training. It's going to be very good. And to give you a little sample, you'll notice below there's a place where you can put your email address. And you can get a free document called Ranking in Modern Google. And I feel that I'm one of the most, if not the most qualified person in the world to give you this information, because I have been doing internet marketing and search engine optimization specifically for 20 years, professionally. I didn't just dabble. It was my day job. It is my career. The document's free, and if you're a beginner, it's awesome to get you up to speed. If you're advanced, it's going to show you some things that are going to give you an aha moment about how Google works and operates nowadays, how to approach things in terms of ranking high but not getting yourself kicked out of search engines for being too aggressive, helping you to be more strategic, more like a Jedi or ninja approach to it. But again, it's all mathematics. It's a very complex algorithm where Google is basically artificial intelligence. So I'm going to help you get through that. The good thing is that I've tried and I've failed a lot. And I've come to a point where I'm not afraid of failure. I learned that years ago. You have to approach it where you're not afraid to fail. You're more likely to succeed, but even if you fail, you can learn from that. So it's a win-win. The better news for you is I'm going to keep you from failing. You don't have to bump your head. You don't have to be sitting there with no answers. I'm going to give you the steps to do so that you don't have to do all the trial and error that I've done over 20 years, all the experimentation, working with literally hundreds of websites, having access to research over the years, and seeing the direction that Google's going. I'm going to help you do that. Assuming that you're seeing this video on my website, one of my websites, I've got a few, there's a box below where you can put your email address to get that free document I told you about, Ranking in Modern Google. If this is on YouTube or you're just seeing it, go to nettrafficacademy.com. That's nettrafficacademy.com, and you can get the free PDF. Now back on that whole leveraging the universe concept. I use the concept from The Matrix where the boy says the first thing to understand is there is no spoon. In golf, I happen to love golf. And here's how I use it. If you're looking at what you have to accomplish, you've got to hit this little white ball a long way out in front of you, hundreds of yards. In some cases, we're talking eventually it's got to get thousands of feet. Now, that's a big bite. That's a big piece to bite off. So the way that I approach it is, I'm going to fight that instinct until I change the instinct of wanting to try to kill the ball. Just gripping the club hard, swinging hard, because it doesn't work. You actually swing the club slower. Same thing with a baseball. You have to relax your arm to a degree, and you're slinging your arm. It's something that's learned, but it becomes natural after you've learned it. So when I get over the golf ball, I have to give myself to the techniques, because I realize it's like magic. You watch somebody create all this swing speed. You're just going to move your arms through, and you're creating hundreds of miles an hour of swing speed to hit this ball and propel it out into the sky. Sounds like you got to swing hard, like you got to grip the club hard. But when you learn the techniques, you're leveraging the club. You're working with the laws of the universe. And so I will stand over the golf ball before I hit it, and I will say to myself, there is no spoon. In other words, I don't have to do something amazing. I don't have to try really hard. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you this. I have learned this in life. If you're having to work hard, you're doing it wrong. If it's difficult, you're doing it wrong. Now, I don't mean it's not going to take time. I don't mean that you are not going to have to tough it out sometimes. But what I mean is that you're building systems if you work with me. If you download this document, if you get with Net Traffic Academy, I'm teaching you how to make systems to make it easy. Sort of like that old Bon Jovi song where he says, working hard to make it easy. Sort of like after years of practice, driving seems easy. You don't have to think too hard about how to stop for that stop sign that's hundreds of feet ahead. You know about how to press the brake pedal. Your timing is there. And it's as though it's natural. It's technique. It's leverage. Something you've done over and over and over, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to give it an extra umph. You don't have to try hard. And I'm going to give you that experience. I used to be afraid of educating my competition. I'm not anymore. It's a big ocean. And I'm going to tell it all. I'm not going to hold anything back. You're going to learn what I know, what I have used to build my business, what I have gotten countless #1 rankings with. I've consulted with presidential candidates, senators, NFL quarterbacks, big businesses where if I told you the name of the business, you'd know who they were. I've consulted with best-selling authors. I've consulted with first-time authors. I've been around, and I'm willing to give my experience out now. There's lots of coaches online. None of them have my experience. You'll commonly hear people brag about having 7 or 8 years of experience. I have 3 times that amount. So if they're bragging about 7 and I have 20, well, there you go. I want to help you do it, help you learn how to do it, and I want to help you leverage the universe. So we're talking about a very mathematical concept on one side, and then one side some people would say is not mathematical. I'm going to say that it is. Either way, get your free document. Let's get started. You can learn as fast as you want. You can learn about the internet, and you can pass over the other stuff. I think it's important. It's helped me to where I feel like I can leverage the universe, and I can get things to happen. It might seem like I'm talking about magic or something. I'm not. Get your free document. It's below. It's called Ranking in Modern Google, or you might see it some places called Ranking in Today's Google. It depends on what website you're on. Just enter your email address, and let's get started. This has been Lee with Net Traffic Academy.